All right, well, we are just about ready to start our next run. Nimputs will be running Sonic Adventure DX All Stories. I hope you're ready because this is a really cool run. It's going to be a really great show. I hope everyone in the chat is having a fantastic time. My name is TK Wolf, and I will be your host for the next couple of runs. And let's say hello and a very big warm welcome to Nimputs.
Hi, everybody. I'm Nimputs. As TK already said, I'm going to be doing Sonic Adventure DX All Stories. So we're starting out with Sonic, as you can see here, and we're going through Tails, Knuckles, Amy, Big E102, and then finally the grand Supersonic finale. So, I'll just jump right into it. The timing starts when the screen fades out. I'll try to count it down, but the timing is always a bit off, so, it's no big deal, but, So time is gonna start in 3, 2, 1, and go. Alright, so the first thing the game gives you, the game throws you into is a boss fight. This one's pretty quick, and I'm gonna try to do a manip here. This should be done in 16 seconds if I do this correctly. So getting hit here on purpose to skip a part of the cycle of the boss. Whoops, I got stuck on the outside there, so losing a second. But that's fine. Alright, so that's the first boss. And now that we're past that, we can access actual gameplay. So we enter the first stage, Emerald Coast, and we're gonna immediately see the two main movement mechanics with Sonic. The first one is spin dash mashing, which is basically a spin dash. If you know Sonic, you're gonna be familiar with it. Oh, that's not good. Okay. So an automated section screwed me up there. That's classic Sonic Adventure. Let's try that again. So yeah.
Direction to go in.
Yeah. So where was I exactly? So spin dash, basically you charge up in a ball and then you release it and you go fast. But you have two buttons that do exactly the same, so what you can do is you can mash those rhythmically, and you can just charge and cancel your spin dash super quick and just remain a lot of speed all the time. The other second movement mechanic that I use a lot is spin dash jumping, so that's basically exactly what it sounds like. I charge a spin dash and then release it and jump immediately, and that allows me to cover a lot of distance and can make a lot of skips like that and pass around things that you're not intended to. The spin dash is, judging from the level design, very clearly not intended because it allows you to skip a lot of stuff. But yeah, that was the first stage with a unfortunate death, but that's fine. So I'm gonna do here a small out of bounds around here, and there we go. So this right here is an upgrade. I don't need that one yet, but I'll need it eventually, and since I'm here right now, I might as well pick it up. This allows me to do attacks that require a charge up through a spin dash to charge up quicker. But yeah, I'll use that later. I can't use it right now, but as I've said, I'm here, so I'll pick it up. So here, right now, we have our second boss, which is Egg Hornet. Egg Hornet is basically, you have to wait through an attack cycle from him, and then you can spam homing attacks onto his cockpit and just do all 3 hits in one cycle. They're just waiting for him to come down here. There we go, that's the one cycle. So, something worth noting, if you play the original PC disc version on English, with English voice lines, there's a voice line there on Eggman that causes the game to lag, and that can cause you to miss the one cycle, because it drops an input. But what you can do is, all the files, all the sound files in this game are just in a folder, just regular WMA files, and you can just delete the voice file that causes issues. So I just deleted that one to be able to do the one cycle every time. But yeah, here, Windy Valley. So at the start, I'm going to do a little bit of a sequence break here, more or less. So I'm going through this wall, and that puts me in a section that another character is supposed to use, but we're using it here as Sonic, because it's a bit faster than doing Sonic's intended route. And now here in Act 2 of the level, we get into a tornado. Here's a small skip on this pad right here. If I spin dash onto here and jump, I can pretty much homing attack right up, and that skips a trampoline, saving like 10 seconds. Restarting here to make you fall down on the act transition quicker. And then the rest of the level is relatively straightforward. So what you're gonna see me do a lot here is just roll down hills. Which is, if you're on a downslope, that's faster than mashing spin dashes. Because you know how balls work on slopes. Like if you roll a ball down a slope, it just goes faster and faster, and the same thing applies here pretty much. So there's no use constantly recharging your spin dash. Also, what you see me do a lot is this pausing and doing a little menuing. This goes by really fast, so you might not be able to see what I'm doing, but basically a lot of times I do change the camera mode in the pause menu. So there's two different camera modes in this game, auto cam and free cam. And auto cam is basically like the way the devs intended you to see the stage. So it's a bit more cinematic, a bit more stable, but you don't have as much control over it. And then there's free cam, which is a bit jittery, but you have a lot more control over it. So depending on what section you're in, you want to know which camera you want to use for that. Also, what you just saw me do there, I mentioned the spin dash jumps already. And if you do spin dash jumps on slopes, like on an uphill slope, I can gain a lot of extra height, so I use that there. I'm gonna use it now again, pretty soon, after I collect this upgrade. So this upgrade right here, I have to collect that, because it's part of the story progression. It allows me to move along trails of rings after I charge it up, but instead I'm going to use the slope here at the bottom to hopefully get out of the sewer. Giving me a little trouble, that jump's a bit tricky. There we go. Yeah, now we can move on to the next stage. So the next stage is gonna go by very quickly, so don't blink on that one or you'll miss it. So this is Casinopolis. To open it, we have to hit this button and not get screwed up by the camera. Let's try that again. Wait, I'm in the wrong camera, that's why I've been getting screwed up. That's what I mean, you gotta know which camera you gotta be in for what section. But yeah, this is Casino, don't blink. I'm gonna set myself up here in this corner. Spin dash out of here. Spin dash jump up here, and that's the end of the stage. So what you're intended to do here... so there's the emerald that you have to get, and it's in the vault. And usually you're not able to reach it from the beginning. What you're supposed to do is you have to collect rings in the casino, and when you have 400 collected rings, you can dump them there in the vault, and you are able to reach the emerald. But I just went past all of that and just skipped all of this and beat the stage in under 10 seconds.
16-year-old me is to see how easily and quickly you made it through that stage.
Yeah, the thing is with the casino skip, I would argue this game is surprisingly beginner-friendly for the most part. The casino skip is like the only one that is probably causing trouble for beginner because of how much time it saves. It's pretty much required. Like, you can't really do that stage normally because nobody wants to do that. And that one's actually like pretty tricky. That needs quite a bit of practice. But yeah, this stage is gonna be similar than Casino, actually. So that was Act 1 right there. Clip through the door, that was Act 2. And Act 3, we're gonna walk into a seam in the wall here, fall out of bounds, line ourselves up with the background here, and now we just hold forward for 40 seconds and until we reach the end of the stage. So that's Ice Cap.
Is this an okay time for a donation?
We actually reach a auto-scroller very soon. That would be a much better time for a donation.
Alrighty, I'll go for then.
Yeah. So yeah, if for donations, there's auto-scrollers in this. Those are perfect. They're coming up 4 times in total. Oh. Yeah, that's not good. So I'm actually gonna redo the whole stage. So I actually accidentally lined myself up too far to the left into the kill plane, which means I'd have to redo. I'd have to actually do the snowboard section the intended way, and that takes so long that it's actually faster to just redo the whole stage. Because the stage is so short with all the skips, I'm just redoing that. Yeah, it's very unfortunate. So, so this clip right here is really annoying when you're trying to really optimize the run. One thing you'll notice is, I'm a bit more careful with my setup now. One thing you'll notice right now in the top left corner, you see my timer is frozen. That is not a glitch, that is more or less intended. So the intended procedure for this level is pretty much you enter Act 3 while you're in the cave, and then as soon as you walk out of the cave, you get in kind of like an automated section where the snowboard section starts, and once you're in the snowboard section, the timer starts again. But because I never actually started the snowboard section, the timer just stays frozen like that at 15 seconds. Yeah, this level is pretty interesting for ILs because Act 3 literally doesn't matter because of that, because ILs, individual level runs, go by the in-game time. So that's all you want to optimize for those. So Act 3 literally doesn't matter in an IL. So you can get like times under 10 seconds there. So now we have the worst boss in the game. Really quick. Before we get there, we have to beat up Knuckles really quick. Eggman tricked Knuckles into thinking Sonic wants to steal the Master Emerald. So Knuckles is mad and we have to beat him up. And that immediately sends us into the Chaos 4 boss fight, which is terrible. It's not fun, it takes very long, and it can lose you a lot of time if you get unlucky. So how this boss works is he follows a pattern, a set pattern. So he does 3 movements, then he does an attack, then he does 3 movements, and then he gets vulnerable. And okay, that's good. I got the shockwave attack here. And one of the attack patterns that you can get is what we call blue balls, is where he splits himself up into 4 blue balls and jumps around the stage. And if he does that, that loses 10 seconds. So, okay, we managed to avoid it here. That's fantastic. So, there's a way to somewhat manipulate that. So what I'm trying to do is I basically just spin dash jump around the stage a whole bunch. And if I'm in the air between his second and third movement, there's a very good chance he won't do blue balls. But it is... if you get unlucky, you can just get unlucky and he does it anyways. So yeah, the most dangerous boss phases are phase 2 and 3. Which is where if you just get unlucky, there's nothing you can do there. On all the other phases, you can avoid it very consistently. The last phase is a bit longer. He does 3 attacks, sorry, in total instead of just 1. But yeah, we're on the last one here, and that's the boss. There we go, 135, solid time. So now Eggman presents us with the floating masterpiece, the egg carrier, and we have to chase after it, and to that we meet Tails at the workshop and we hop on Tails' plane. And this is an auto-scroller, and there's nothing I can do to speed this up, so I can just chill in the corner here and just wait until this plays out. So this would be a perfect time for donations.
Alrighty. Well, in my case, we do have a donation. We have a donation of $33 from Moonblaze Wolf, saying, "Now that I'm back at my desk, here's the donation for all the worms who were so viciously whacked in Whack-A-Worm during my run. Putting it towards more bad taste during the Final Fantasy Legend 2 run later tonight. The worms would have wanted it that way."
Thank you. So there is a total of 3 more of these auto-scrollers in this run. There's 2 in Sonic's story and 2 in Tails' story. So if you have any donations, this would be fantastic to fill the time. But if not, I can just talk about random stuff, I guess. Also, Yeah, so what you intended to do in this section is basically you can lock onto targets and get a high score. But yeah, it's not the kind of gameplay I really enjoy, so I just usually use these to take a break and drink some water.
Well, that is certainly a good thing to do in the middle of a long marathon.
Definitely.
So for anyone who's tuning in, Fastest Furs Fall Festival is raising money for Trans Lifeline. The Trans Lifeline microgrants program offers grants for legal name changes, updated name and gender markers on IDs, passports, immigration documents, and more. To learn about more about this program, including how to apply, please visit www.translifeline.org/microgrants. As well, if you'd like to make a donation towards the cause, you can hit !donation in chat.
Yeah, awesome. Definitely donate if you can spare something. It's a very good cause, and I'm very glad to be here to support that. But yeah, this is the first auto-scroller, so unfortunately the chase of the air carrier is futile because immediately Tails and Sonic get shot out of the air with a giant laser and they just fall back to the ground, back to Earth, or whatever planet that is that they're living on. Luckily for Sonic, there exists no fall damage in this universe, so he's fine. And we can continue on. So the next level is Twinkle Park, which is pretty scary in a speedrun, because there are 2 skips that can lose you a lot of time if you miss them. The first one is Track Skip, which, as the name suggests, you skip a part of the track here on this card section. So let's see if I can get it right here. Yes, perfect. Oh, that's a bit sketchy. Oh no! I got it! And then I slowed down so much I died afterwards. That's unfortunate. Yeah, the stage is a big reset point because of that. Let's try that again. Okay, now I have a very low ring amount, so I have to take this a bit differently. Okay, we're good now. This should definitely make it over. Your ring count affects how fast your card goes. So depending on how many rings you have, you might have to change your approach to track skip. And also, for the rest of the course, you want to get as many rings as possible. I think it caps out at 99, so you don't really have to get not really have to get anything beyond that. But yeah, something to keep in mind. Also, if you hold both the A button and hold forward, you go a bit faster. On the act transition after this card section, there's the second scary skip. So what I'm gonna do here is I jump into the act transition as opposed to just falling, and that allows me to homing attack out of the set sequence that the game wants me to do here. There we go. So what I did there on the act transition, right as the game transitioned to the next part of the level, I homing attacked. And that allows me to... First of all, that allows me to get stuck in this wonderful swimming pool. But yeah, that allows me to skip the roller coaster that you see around the stage here. Which is basically like a cutscene. And just jump straight out of that and use all the roofs as slopes and get right to the end of the level. Unfortunately, one of the jumps screwed me up there, so I fell in the pool and it's a bit tricky to get out of there, but it's fine. I got both skips eventually.
It's fascinating to see just how you're ripping this game into pieces and putting it back in the fastest way possible.
Yeah, here's another one. So this is Knuckles' entrance for this level, but it's faster to use it as Sonic. And because this game has no functioning walls, you can just use it. Yeah, so here's a big jump at the start that allows me to skip a huge part of the level. Okay, back up, that's fine. Ideally, I want to make it over the fence, but if you are a bit short, you can make it through there. Jumping off here at the side, using scenery to my advantage, and ending Act 1. And now in Act 2, I basically just roll down a building. So I want to line myself up here to be able to catch these speed shoes, so speed me up a little bit. I've been told I can't tell a difference visually, but I've been told it's faster. And now we just wait. If you have like max speed, you can just roll through all the obstacles here, it doesn't matter. And now Act 3 is gonna be similar to Act 1. We're just gonna be jumping around everything, getting a lot of fight to get over collision, and we're at the end of the level. So yeah, a lot of these stages are like designed in a very open way that you can pretty much make complete use of all the game mechanics and just break everything.
Shout out to the music in Act 3. You have my heart and soul.
It's very good. We're gonna see it later. We're gonna hear it later again. So here's a bit of a clip to skip some hub world, and we're gonna head over to the next stage, which is, by the way, my favorite in Sonic Story, so I hope I do it justice. It's gonna be Red Mountain.
We have a short donation whenever is a good time for it.
After Red Mountain is another auto-scroller. Unless it's topical to Red Mountain, but
let's wait for that, and let's see if we can get a few more donations in there, so we can read off a whole bunch.
All right, that would be awesome. But yeah, this is an upgrade. This allows me to charge up this attack to destroy this monkey right here, and that allows me to get into the level. You, by the way, can clip past the monkey, but the loading zone of the level does not appear until you destroy the monkey, so you cannot avoid going out of your way there. But yeah, this level has a lot of cool jumps here at the start. Pretty tight, but lots of fun to do. Now here's a little zip line, changing to free camera. And again, gonna make the open level design, gonna use the open level design here to my advantage to basically pass around, move around all of the intended level parts that I'm intended to go through, and just skip all of that, going here directly into Act 2, which is inside the volcano now. And this room right here is a bit of a puzzle, so you're supposed to move around the area while the water level rises, and you get more areas accessible with increasing water level, but you can once again just use slopes to your advantage to skip all of that, and you're once again at the end of the level. Pretty solid here, 1 of 5, pretty good time. And now Tails picks us up here at the end of the stage, and we are once again on our way to the egg carrier. So same thing as before, this one's a bit darker to show that's now all threatening and dark. Now again, donations, announcement, anything, welcome.
All right, well, we have a $5 donation from WAG saying, Streetlight Manifesto rocks.
Hell yeah. Yeah, it's my only, like, furry-themed t-shirt, so I figured I'd put it on.
I love it. And for anyone who is just tuning in, Fastest Furs Fall Festival is raising money for Trans Lifeline. Trans Lifeline's hotline is a peer support service run by trans people for trans and questioning callers. Their operators are located all over the United States and Canada and are all trans identified. If you find yourself in crisis or just need someone to talk to, please visit www.translifeline.org/hotline to learn how you can connect.
So one interesting fact about this game I could talk about, if you look at the leaderboards for this game, you're gonna notice there's 2 different timing methods, real-time and in-game time, which is pretty common in a lot of games, especially PC games. But what is weird about this game, that all the in-game times are actually higher than the real times, and that is because this is a wonky old PC game that does not work very well. And the issue is the game runs at frame rates at higher than 60 FPS, but the frame rate is not really consistent. It depends on your OS and your setup of your PC and everything. So it varies a little bit, and that causes the game to run at different real-time speeds. So as soon as the community figured that out, we realized, like, okay, we can't do fair competition with that, because some people just like go so much faster than others just because they have a different frame rate. So there's been an in-game timer made, which is not a traditional in-game timer. While it does count in-game time, it pauses on loads and everything, but for the most part it counts the frames and translates them into a 60 FPS real time. So because the game runs at more than 60 FPS, the in-game time ends up being longer than the real time in this game, even though the in-game time pauses on load screens. So that's a fun little tidbit about this game, I guess. So right here
really
we're here at the end of the auto-scroller, and there's actually something you can lose time on here. So there's this boss, and if you get all the lock-ons here, which I failed for some reason, you go a bit faster because it avoids you getting hit. It's no big difference, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, it's the one interesting part about the auto-scroller. Alright, now we're about to head off to Skydeck, which is the most infamous level in Sonic story, pretty much. Whoops. So first we have to get there, and that's getting significantly harder by Eggman transforming his ship. So this is not a cutscene, you can actually pause in here. Actually, no, they want to go somewhere else, but they have to go through Skydeck because Eggman transformed the ship. That's how it goes. So yeah, Skydeck is a pretty scary stage because not only is the level design very mean, but also everything floats over a giant death pit. So basically any mistake, you fall down, you're dead. So very dangerous level here.
No pressure.
It's good. I've played it a couple times. I should be fine most of the time. Alright, yeah, I'm using a lot of like spin dash jumps to get around here quicker again. Hitting this checkpoint just for marathon safety. Don't want to have to replay the first section. So right here, there's like a big kind of square where a giant cannon chases you around. But I can just use this thing and jump right to the end of that and go right to the end of the first act. So Act 2 is not supposed to be that. Act 2, there's a lot of obstacles here that slow you down, and there's also a wind cycle that slows you down even more if you get caught up in that, but we managed to pass it. And here is another cannon that you have to shoot into that can screw you up really bad if you get unlucky. Ideally you want to get it on the first try, which I didn't get, but I also missed it on the second try. Wonderful. Where's it gonna go now? Yeah, this one's a bit RNG. Unfortunately. I think if you execute it perfectly, you can always get it, but I'm not sure. It's very easy to miss. And Act 3, you have like a lot of gravity shifting around here, but once again, skipping all of that by doing a spin dash jump to jump right on the capsule, and I'm very glad that worked out, because if you land wrong after hitting the capsule, you can actually soft lock the game. And I was very close to soft locking there. So the issue is, after you trigger the end of the level, the game doesn't actually end the level until Sonic lands on solid ground. And because... what am I doing? And because... when you miss the capsule, you can kind of get caught on the side of the fence of that area. That doesn't actually count as solid ground, so the game never actually ends the level. And if that would have happened, I would have to replay the stage.
Ooh, well, good thing you nailed that.
Yeah. It happens occasionally. Most of the time it doesn't, but it can happen. So I'm... yeah, that would have been like 2 minutes lost or so, but we're good. But yeah, we changed the ship back now. And now we have this boss right here. So on this boss, we're gonna make use of the charge-up attack that I destroyed the monkey with earlier. And that one can easily misfire, so I hope this boss doesn't screw me over. So I have to throw these things at him to freeze him, and then I can attack him. And if I use this special attack right here, I can have this done in 2 hits rather than 4 hits. So that's obviously a lot faster. Perfect. So sometimes this attack really misbehaves and it causes you to just get a single hit for some reason. Glad that didn't happen here. And now we are off into another most infamous level in this game. Lost World. So right here at the start we're going through this tunnel. Here's another only real instance of RNG in Sonic Story as far as I know, which is this flame tunnel, but I screwed up the camera and that makes all the hitboxes not work. That was not intentional, but that's pretty convenient when that happens. And now here is a another skip of a puzzle called Snake Skip. So we just use, once again, scenery to gain a lot of height and pass basically everything. And now I'm gonna clip through this door by pausing and unpausing, which temporarily unloads the collision of the door. And now we try to get through this room right here, which is a lot of scary spin dash jumps that if you miss them, you die. But yeah, that was the scariest part of Lost World. That's good.
So not having ever watched a Sonic Adventure speedrun, that's fantastic.
That's good. I'm glad it's entertaining. So right here is a boulder that chases us. This boulder rubber bands really badly, so you don't want to go too fast here, because otherwise if you hit anything and just lose a tiny amount of speed, it just smacks into you, and you don't want that. And here at the end, there is a gravity shenanigans room. But if you use this and then jump up here, land... Whoops. Didn't mean to fall down here. Didn't mean to fall down again. I'm too greedy on that one. I need to jump a bit higher. There we go. Okay. I'm just taking it easy now. I'll do it the easy way, because I keep falling down. So you're supposed to move around this room a bunch of times with, like, gravity tricks. But you can basically, once again, use a lot of spin dash jumps to just get to the end of the level right away. That was the second to last level in Sonic Story. So one more to go. Bit of hub world to get there. So these are like past sequences where the characters get visited by Tikal, where a bit of the backstory of the game gets explained to them. And as you progress through the game, you get like each bits and pieces of the story told to you. For the different characters. So you can puzzle that together. But yeah, Act 1 of this stage is gonna be pretty normal for the most part, but Act 2 and 3 we're gonna skip completely. So this is once again a deal of don't blink or you miss it. Speaking of don't blink or you miss it, because I'm at 0 extra lives, I'm just gonna take a quick game over here, because I need extra lives to do a trick here, and I would like to do that trick. So I figured probably better to just take a game over to get set back to 4 lives and do it through that. So yeah, Act 1 is the only part of the stage we actually play. These spinny tubes are pretty tricky. You can actually clip through them and die if you're not careful. Okay, Act 2, we're just gonna turn around. And they didn't put a barrier here, so you can just go out of bounds there. and fall to the end of Act 2. And at the end of Act 2, we're gonna jump down this elevator shaft that takes us to Act 3, pause at a specific moment, just when the act transitions, which I magically there got first try somehow. Usually I have to pause buff for that, and then... 5. I forgot to count. Okay, we're good. I can't even explain quick enough, but basically I skip all of it.
If I can just take a moment to say, wow.
Yeah, it's going all too fast.
This is amazing. Just the precision and the ways that you and the community running this game have found to just shred the game to pieces.
Yeah, it's really cool. Like, as I've said, the stages in this game are very open, and they were absolutely not designed with like spin dash jumping in mind. So there's so many ways you can just skip stuff. By the way, this boss right here is extremely scary, and I have to be very careful here. So this boss takes a long time, and it's very easy to die here, and then you have to redo the whole boss. So let's hope I don't do that. This boss, by the way, was for the longest time the reason I procrastinated learning Sonic Story, because I did not absolutely did not want to deal with this thing. But I'm kind of used to it by now, so I just have to pay attention to not slip up here. But yeah, you basically just wait through a bunch of attack cycles and then attack him with these very sketchy spin dash jumps over the void. If you mistime them, you die, so nothing to worry about here. What could go wrong? So right here I'm gonna get hit on purpose, that skips part of his attack cycle. And wait for him here. And that was the last of these scary hits. I do want a ring though. And now he does the spinny discs here that you can jump onto and hit him like that. Bit faster than waiting for them to come to you. Now he starts destroying platforms, so you can't get too close to him, because he destroys the 2 here. Jump. And on the last hit, you have to wait for the disc to come to you, otherwise you fall to your death, because as soon as you get the last hit, you have no longer control over Sonic, and you just die. And now he does like a desperation attack where his machine explodes and he tries to basically haul the exploding machine onto you. But if you just stand here on the side of this platform, it's gonna miss every time. So I'm not doing anything. And that's Sonic Story done.
Nice, well done.
Yeah, I lost a lot of time at the start of this, but yeah, it's fine. Still on decent pace. So now as soon as the credits start, I'm gonna soft reset the game and we can move on to Tails' story. So Tails, obviously Tails can fly, and his stage design gimmick is that he's always set up to race against another character, which in all of stages except the last one, he races against Sonic. So yeah, I'm gonna, before I do anything, pick up an optional upgrade here, which allows me to fly much faster. Even though you have to go out of your way to that saves enough time to justify it. And yeah, so first thing we have to do as Tails is Egg Hornet again. This is the second boss you saw as Sonic, the one I one-cycled. Unfortunately, you can also one-cycle this boss as Tails, but with Tails it is significantly harder and I'm very bad at it. So I'll take any 2-cycle as a victory here. So we'll see how this goes. The lineup for Tails is pretty tricky, and you have to basically jump cancel into him at a specific rhythm, and it is really hard to do, and it's a pain. Okay, yeah, that's one hit. If I can get a double hit at the next cycle, that would be fantastic. If not, no big deal. But yeah, this boss with Tails is terrible. I forgot he comes down faster. Alright, no, 1 cycle, no 2 cycle, that's perfectly fine. As I've said, Tails is not a story I put a whole lot of work into. I mostly focused on other stories. So I never, like, spent a lot of time practicing this boss, to be honest. For the most part, if I run Tails story, I'm just like, okay, I'll continue if I get a 2 cycle. If I get a 3 cycle, I'll reset. Never even got a 1 cycle in my life on Tails. But yeah, once again, we're gonna pick up the stone, the same as we did in Sonic Story, and get into Windy Valley. So, basically, the way this game is set up, you already see like a lot of similarities to Sonic Story, probably. So the way this is set up is you have all these different characters going through the same crossing story path, and every section that 2 characters are together in the story is gonna repeat in their own story. So in this part of the story, Sonic and Tails are together, so we're gonna see many of the same sections here. But it's gonna diverge more later, so gonna see more new stuff that we didn't see with Sonic. And also worth noting, pretty much all of Tails' versions of levels are much shorter. So this, for example, was just Act 3 of Windy Valley instead of all 3 acts that we had with Sonic. So we're gonna fly up here really quick, get into the train, whoops. There we go. And off to Tails' Casinopolis. Tails is not allowed to gamble because he's too young. So Tails can only play in the sewers of Casino, which is very sad and mean, I think.
Yeah, I think they need to put some more funding into their daycare.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, this level also, you basically you have 1 clip and that just skips all of the level. So that one's pretty neat. Here once again, now like in Sonic Story, after Casino, we want to go to Ice Cap. But with Tails, we can actually very easily skip the Ice Key. So we don't have to pick it up.
What did we just see flying towards you?
That was Cream, a cameo character. She was introduced in the... Oh, I was supposed to do a skip here. She was introduced in the re-release of the game, Sonic Adventure DX. She was not in the original. And they put her in there because she got first introduced in Sonic Advance 2, which came out around the time this version of the game also came out. So they put her just in as an Easter egg. She's a bunny. Pretty cool. And she just flies by on some parts of the story every once in a while. Yeah, this is the part that I skipped with Sonic. This is the snowboard section, so we can see it in all its glory now. And Sonic has very enthusiastic repeating voice lines at Tails because he's very excited to snowboard. There's a bit of a skip you can do here by hitting one of these trick ramps on in a specific way. I'm going to see if I can set that up here. So that's the so this is not the trick ramp yet, but I have to... So this is right here, this is the ramp. That looks good. Yes! Okay, perfect. So that's nice. The super jump. If I approach the ramp in a certain way and then jump very late on the ramp, I can basically fly for much longer than I'm intended to. And because while I'm in this ramp tricking state, I move much faster, that saves a bunch of time. There's also a similar super jump there at the end of the level when we go over this mountain section here. On this jump coming up. missed it, unfortunately. That's weird. The second super jump is much easier than the first one, and I got the first one, not the second one, but hey.
Well, as is tradition during a marathon.
Yeah, obviously. But yeah, still pretty nice. So now, because we clip back into the section without opening the door, we have to clip out again, which you can do by lining ourselves up here and just flying up, and that gets us out. And now, once again, similar story path as with Sonic. We have to beat up Knuckles.
Oh no.
And then we get into Chaos 4.
Give it your... Oh no.
So, similarly to the stages, being shorter with Tails, Chaos 4 is also shorter and easier with Tails. So, the original fight with Sonic had 5 phases. This one only has 4, so it's like 15 seconds shorter. And there is no risk of getting the attack here that loses 10 seconds, which is also very nice. So this one's pretty chill. You just have to pay attention to his attack cycle and make sure to attack him as early as possible. Which is harder than it sounds, because this boss is very boring and it's very easy to stop paying attention here by accident.
Well, chat has been going off with, oh no, including requests to give me your best, oh no.
That's a classic line. We're gonna be on the other side of that oh no later.
We certainly will.
But yeah, this is, once again, so I said earlier, with Sonic, the strat to manipulate the bosses to do a lot of spin dash jumps. So you're in the air on certain parts, and with Tails, because he can fly, it's obviously very easy to just be in the air all the time. So you can just fly around, and even if you screw it up, like the worst attack that you can get is impossible to get with Tails, as far as I know. So there's nothing to worry about here, really. Okay, once again, the floating masterpiece. If you've been here during Sonic Story, you know what that means. We have to chase Eggman now, which means another sky chase. Yay! So, if there's any donations or announcements you want to make, now would be a perfect time once again.
Well, we don't have any new donations just yet. I did hear someone say something about prizes. All weekend long, your donations to Trans Lifeline gets you entered to win prizes offered by our runners, hosts, and other members of the Fastest First community. When you donate, be sure to include your Twitch username so we can easily identify you for the prize draw, and use the command !prizes in chat to see a full prize list.
So while we're here, I guess I'll talk a bit about myself with this game. So I'm doing all stories right now, which is not a category I run a lot. Most of the time I play the stories individually. So this is a rare occasion I do them all at once. My favorite part of running this game is honestly, as cool and fancy as all of Sonic Story looked, my favorite part of the game is running these shorter individual stories, especially Knuckles and Amy. I have a big soft spot for those coming up after Tails story. So these are the ones I put most of my efforts into in this game. So yeah, I'm excited to show them off. But yeah, each story has lots of really cool parts to them, lots of different mechanics, all their own cool skips. And I see we got a raid. That's amazing. It's a lot of people.
Oh my goodness, yes we did. Hello everyone, and welcome. You are watching the Fastest Furs Fall Festival, and we're raising money for Trans Lifeline. Trans Lifeline's hotline is a pure support service run by trans people for trans and questioning callers. Their operators are located all over the US and Canada and are all trans identified. If you find yourself in crisis or need someone to talk to, you can visit www.translifeline.org/hotline to learn how you can connect. And if you would like to support the cause, hit !donate in chat, and you can get one of many fantastic prizes from our team.
Yeah, a lot of new people here, so this is currently Sonic Adventure DX. We're in all stories. Made it past Sonic Story a couple minutes ago. In Tails' story now. After this, Knuckles, Amy, Big, Gamma, and Super Sonic to go. So still plenty more to come. But yeah, so Tails now goes on diverging paths from Sonic Story. So this is a Tails exclusive level you're seeing here. So to get into this, we have to hit the switch, and there's a clip you can do here. Let's see if I can get that. No, let's try again. Ah, there we go. So you basically have the switch, and then a lot of sand that would block the entrance of the level would flow out. And you have to wait for a moment until the level is accessible. But if you do that clip, you can just fly into the loading zone a bit earlier. Now about this level is basically the same as the snowboarding you saw a couple minutes ago, except way more janky in its controls. But luckily it's not very long, so this is gonna be over soon. Yeah, so these gates, you can pretty much just ignore them. They're only really important if you go for a high score on this level. And that's the end of the stage already. And now we do a bit of Hub World in a flashback section again in the past. So we have to pick up this upgrade over here. Very tucked away in the corner of the map here. When I played this casually, this took me forever to find. And then you have to talk to Tikal, who's over here. So yeah, if you're stuck in this section, I understand. Don't worry. Now, once again, I hate to say it, but we have another auto-scroller. So this is gonna be the final one of this run. Last Sky Chase. So once again, if in the 2 minutes of gameplay we had since the last one, another donation came in or anything, or a new announcement, that would be great, but...
Oh, well, I do have an announcement. So for anyone who hasn't caught this before, Fastest Furs Fall Festival is sponsored by Fuzzy Logic Escape Rooms. From Friday to Sunday this weekend, Fuzzy Logic will be donating 50% of revenues from all new reservations for their online escape rooms directly to Trans Lifeline. You can join friends from the comfort of your home and play an hour-long escape room game through Zoom. Type !Fuzzy Logic in chat or visit fuzzylogicscaperoom.com to learn more and book your next online adventure.
Yeah, so as I said, this is an auto-scroller, so there's nothing you can really do here to speed this up. Some other runners do score attacks and speedruns, but I prefer to just sit back here and let this play out. So yeah, where are we? We are in Tails' story. We're about 2/3 through the story, about halfway through the entire run. As I said, a couple of characters still to go. Each of the characters have their own mechanics and levels and skips, so still plenty more cool stuff to see. We're already past like the fastest part of the run, which is Sonic Story. But as I mentioned earlier, my favorite parts of the game are personally Knuckles and Amy. So all the other stories are also extremely cool runs, in my opinion.
We do have a donation, $5 donation, a $5 donation from I hope I pronounced this right, Hypnotics, saying, "Here's something to discuss in Sky Chase. How do you pronounce Hydro City? Good luck with the run, Nim."
Okay. Thank you, Hip, for the donation and for cursing the Sonic discourse. Yeah, this is a long debate in the Sonic community if it's pronounced Hydro City Zone or Hydrocity Zone. So I'm a bit split on this because you can tell I don't speak natively English. I'm German. So my pronunciation isn't like as perfect. Like from reading, I can't like initially tell perfectly every time how it's pronounced. And so intuitively, when I first saw the word, I pronounced it as Hydro City. But like in my head, from how I understand the name, what it means, it is like waterness, like something being watery. Like that's how I understand the name. I don't understand it as a water city, I understand it as waterness. So based on that, my pronunciation would be Hydrocity. But intuitively, I always said Hydro City because that's how my brain interpreted the letters.
Fuzzy says, it depends whether it's a Hydra atrocity. Thanks, Fuzzy.
That's also an option. Alright, so once again we are at Skydeck, the very big infamous level with Sonic. Tails obviously has a lot easier time here because he can fly, so there's not as big of a risk of falling down. However, this level is still very mean and not to be underestimated. So I have to be very careful here. There's a tricky jump I can do here. Perfect. So I landed there on this thing to reset my flight height. Yeah, it's very easy to like miss a jump or something and then run out of flight over a big gap. So it's still, even though Tails can fly, it's still very easy to die in this level.
That wasn't too bad.
Alright, now off to the final level of... No, first we have to fight Gamma. I forgot about that. So there's these really short character boss fights in between the stages. And I sometimes forget about them. We have to beat up Gamma here, who we are gonna see in about half an hour. I almost got hit there. That would have been embarrassing. But yeah, we're off to the final stage here, which is a race against Eggman. So Eggman fired a missile to destroy the city, but turned out the missile was a dot. And now we have to race Eggman to where the missile landed, and we have to make it there first. So that's basically the law of the stage. This is again the same level that Sonic went through, but I maneuvered completely differently because I can just fly diagonally through everything. This part right here, I believe, is new for Tails exclusively, but like the first half you might recognize from Sonic. So these rings are cool, they reset your flight, so you don't have to land on the yellow platforms, you can just take the rings. And there's a missile. And that's the end of the level. And now we're off to the final boss of Tails' story, which is one of the more difficult bosses in the game. So first of all, during the intro sequence of the boss, I can already move, so I can move closer to him. And I died because I didn't pick up rings. Okay, there we go. So he basically does these stomps, and then you have to hit his legs, and then he falls down. And now, after you hit him, he takes a moment to get up again. If you wait until he starts moving, and then press the Y button, that basically skips this whole animation. I'm not sure why that happens. I think it's like a death function they accidentally left in the game. But yeah, that allows you to skip like this long animation here that I just forgot to skip. Because sometimes I just forget to press Y. You have to be careful with this though. If you press Y at the wrong time, like before he starts the animation, you can actually soft lock the boss as well, and you have to exit and re-enter, I think, or just restart. But yeah, that's Tails' story. And we are off to Knuckles. So once again, once the credits start, I will soft reset the game to skip the credits. That's not soft reset. Okay, there's soft reset. Alright, so Knuckles' story, I've already mentioned, is one of my favorite stories in the game. Knuckles' story is not too big on like skips and glitches or anything, but what is really cool is the routing, I think, and the improvisation, I would say. because Knuckles' gameplay, his goal is to restore the Master Emerald, and he has to find shards of the Master Emerald, which are randomly located throughout the stage. So we have the radar at the bottom of the screen, and based on that we can figure out where the shards are. And because they are random, this is a huge grind to get a really good time in this story. But I enjoy grinding RNG for some reason, so this is one of my favorites. So this is pretty much entirely random.
Good enough.
But there are certain rules to how these pieces interact with each other. You can use to pretty much figure out on the fly which piece locations you can still get. So basically, the piece locations are predetermined, and the game just picks from the existing piece locations. And also, you see there is 3 different slots for emerald pieces in the radar at the bottom. And each of these slots has its own pool of possible piece locations, pretty much. So, for example, if I know I've already collected a piece 1 and 2, I know the only pieces that I can still get are piece 3s, and then I only have to check the possible locations for piece 3. So this right here is a piece 3, for example. I'm going to restart. That's going to put me out of the stage again. At the beginning of the stage. This RNG is god-awful. Actually, it wasn't that horrible. I just routed it badly. But yeah, so basically what you're trying to do here is you want to pick a route throughout the stage and then adapt the route on the fly based on what radar pings you get and what pieces you collect, which is very difficult to do well. You just saw me screw it up there, because I was trying to focus on explaining this. There's again Cream flying by. Knuckles can actually punch out of this cutscene and move a bit earlier if you get a punch in a small frame window, but I unfortunately missed it. Here's Chaos 2, another boss. This boss is also Knuckles exclusive. This one goes really fast if you do it right. Also a manip to basically skip all of the attack patterns that waste time and just immediately hit him as soon as he becomes vulnerable. Pretty much a perfect fight here. And now we can continue.
Do have a couple donations whenever is a good time for it.
Yeah, now would be good.
All right. Bro Sancho with a $10 donation saying, "Have fun, y'all." That also went towards the Final Fantasy II character naming incentive for the name Human. Endosep has given a $10 donation saying, "Get a load of this."
Yes, that's a classic. Unfortunately, during my least favorite part of the run. Well, it's also an Egg Walker, which is a bit better, but I mostly associate it with the Egg Viper boss fight in Sonic Story, which is horrible. I can't stand it, but we have to get through it, and we're already past it, luckily, so I don't have to play it anymore. So that's great. But yeah, we're off here to Red Mountain. Red Mountain is a very good example in how your routing through the stages might vary depending on the situation you find yourself in when you play Knuckles Story. So, depending on how much of a risk you're willing to take when tackling these stages, you may choose a different route. So, for example, if I would attempt for PB here, I wouldn't have even went up that rocket there. But because I know right now I'm in all stories, so I don't want to kill my run here, and also I'm in a marathon, so I can't reset. I have to adapt the routing of the stage to actually go up the rocket to make sure I check for the possible pieces that are up there. If I do PB attempts in this, the way I approach this is pretty much, okay, so the pieces on top of the volcano are very slow, so I'm just not going to check for them and hope I don't get them, and if I do get them, I just reset. But obviously I can't do that here, so I have to change the way I approach the stage. So you pretty much have to change the way you route these depending on how willing you are to reset. So, for example, if you just start out running Knuckles Story, I would recommend just checking every piece every time to get a feel for the different locations and everything, and also to make sure you finish runs. But as soon as you get a good PB and then pretty much grind for RNG, if you're at that point, you have to make sacrifices to the consistency with the RNG and pretty much just deliberately choose to ignore some piece locations and just hope you don't get them. Here we are once again at Chaos 4. This boss again works the same as in Sonic Story, so we can get blue balls, the attack that wastes 10 seconds here. But it's much easier to avoid with Knuckles, so we didn't see it here, luckily. That's great. The fight is also the same length as with Sonic, so 5 attack phases in total. So yeah, this is gonna be a bit over 130 for the boss. Again, the last attack phase lasts 3 attack cycles, so this one's longer than the previous ones. But yeah, that's pretty much the boss. Can do like barrel rolls with Knuckles when you turn the stick really quick. Pretty cool. This is everything interesting I have to show for this boss.
Well, in the meantime, we do have chat again going off with, oh no, oh no.
Perfect. Alright, so now we are off to the next stage, Lost World. To get into Lost World, we have to collect 2 statues that function as a key. The first one is just right up here, so I'm going to walk over the treetops here to the entrance of Lost World to drop it there. The second one is very well hidden. I actually had to look that up when I played this game casually. I did not find it myself, so it's over here. By the way, if you moved away too fast there, the key can despawn. You have to get it back at the start of the area. But yeah, this one's buried here, the second one. So we bring that over here. The movement here is very tricky because it's the camera does not cooperate and it's very tight, that path. It's very easy to get stuck on the wall, so this is very hard to do well. And now this trapdoor here opens and we get into Lost World. So Lost World is going to be a bit of a surprise for you probably, if you've never seen a run of this. Lost World is actually the only stage where RNG doesn't matter, because instead of collecting emeralds, I will do the following. Clip through this. And there's a capsule there, and that's the end of the stage. So, if you're wondering what happened there, very good question. So, as I've already mentioned earlier, for example, when you saw me use Gamma section in Sonic's Windy Valley, so different characters use the same stages in different ways. And the ending section of Sonic's Lost World is the main section of Knuckles' Lost World. And you can basically clip through that wall and get to the ending of Sonic's stage and just trigger the end there like a linear stage without collecting any of the pieces, because they just left in the capsule. Or if you haven't already beaten Sonic Story on the save file, and the stage just immediately ends without even having to hit the capsule. So they basically just left the level end trigger from Sonic there, and you can reach it as Knuckles and basically skip all RNG, which is fantastic.
What's going on?
Once again, the same ship transformation sequence that you can't skip. And we are about to go to the final stage as Knuckles, which is the most infamous one, because it has a lot of pieces that are very difficult to access. So this stage can go horribly wrong if I get bad RNG, so let's see. Okay, that looks good. So we have the switch here that changes the gravity or the tilt of the ship, and that allows us to access different areas, like this garage here. Oh, yes, this is very good. Yes, yes, yes. No. Yes? No, yes. No, actually, never mind, it's very bad. Okay, I changed my mind. So this piece right here is under this kind of cart. And in order to access that, I have to go back to the start and change the gravity. Not the gravity, the ship tilt. This is no gravity shenanigans here, it's just tilting shenanigans. So if I change the switch here... it's hard to control. Come on, Knuckles. Come on, Knuckles. No, wrong direction. Sorry, my bad. Let's fix this. There we go. So now the cart is moving over to the side, and I can actually get this piece. It's by digging up here. But yeah, that's what I mean. If you this stage is brutal. This can go really fast. The stage can go as low as like 10 seconds if you get super lucky. But if you get very unlucky, you can just get something like this and waste like 30 seconds easily. But yeah, that was all Knuckles stages done. So now we are about to head to the final boss of Knuckles. Knuckles' final boss is Chaos 6, which we've already seen with Sonic. Knuckles' way of fighting him is a bit different, because I did not pick up the upgrade that allows me to do double hits on him. Because you can also beat this boss really quick without that, and you have to go quite off your way to pick that up. So it's faster to not pick it up. And doing it without the upgrade is actually makes this my favorite boss in the game. It's a really fast route to, really fun route to do. So hope I don't screw it up. Freeze him, attack him, freeze him, get a new metal thing to prepare. So basically the trick here is you always, before you always want to freeze him, then prepare another thing, another one of these to throw at him, and only then you attack him. Because otherwise, if you attack him right away and you don't have one of these things to throw at him ready, he might do a attack pattern and waste a lot of time. But yeah, that was Knuckles' story.
I'll probably be on this.
And off we are to Amy. So Amy.
Character.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, Amy is casually not very well liked because she's very slow. But in a speedrun, she's actually super cool. What camera mode are we in? I need free camera for Amy. So the fastest way I've moved is just repeatedly do these jumps. And also a mechanic of Amy is if she's in full running speed, she can do a hammer jump, which is this very big jump right here, this one. And that's gonna break a lot of stuff. But first off, we're gonna walk into this wall right here. And trigger a loading zone here to skip a bit of Hub World. And we are off to the first stage. So my run is unfortunately not PB pace, so I'm going to go for a very difficult trick here, which is probably the hardest skip in the game. So basically the game wants us to go inside the castle and then out again. But what if we don't go inside and just stay outside the castle all the time? So this is what I'm gonna attempt right here. So I'm gonna use this door and this door frame to get up on the roof here. That was first try, that's much better than I expected. And now we have to make this. I missed the jump. Okay, so I already made it up on the roof, so you saw what most of the skip looked like. The last jump, which I missed, is the hardest part. So I'm going to attempt this once more up until the roof. And then I'll just do the level normally. Okay. Okay, so yeah, I'll just do it. No, you see what the skip is supposed to look like. Instead, now we're gonna do this skip, which is also cool. out of bounds, and now we are in the mirror dimension, where there's no walls, which is also a cool skip, but it's unfortunately slower than climbing up the castle. But hey, I showed you how climbing up the castle looks like, so you get a taste of both skips now.
Exactly, we get to see twice as many skips. That's fantastic.
Yeah. Yeah, unfortunately the castle skip is like really, really difficult, and when I do Amy's story individually, it takes me quite a while to get past the first stage, because I just keep resetting on that skip. But I'm very surprised I even made it up on the roof first try, so that's amazing. As I said, the final jump of that skip is the hardest part. So usually the way I do this in marathon runs, I just get on the roof once and see if I get the final jump or not. But yeah, that's fine. So right here we have to do a mini game, beat Eggman's high score in Hedgehog Hammer. We have to get 2,000 points, so this is most of the time very easy to get. However, it is actually possible, this is entirely random, and it's actually possible to get RNG that is so bad that you can't get the 2,000 points and you have to replay this. So it is possible to lose a run to RNG here. But it's very unlikely, it usually doesn't happen. But when I do like Amy's story attempt, it's like once in 50 times I'm here pretty much. Yeah, now we get the Warrior Feather, which is an upgrade that allows us to spin around, which we use exactly 0 times in the story, but we just need to pick it up because it's part of the story progression. And now we can enter Hot Shelter, which is one of the most difficult levels in the game to do well in one segment, so that was an attempted clip there. I can get out of the elevator here early. Unfortunately failed it. There's another clip here. Got that one, very nice. And this level is basically an excellent showing of how much you can abuse Amy's hammer mechanic, because it allows us to do lots of really cool skips, really cool out of bounds and stuff. So this part right here is a bit tame, that's mostly just jumping straight forward, but it's getting spicier very soon. So that's the end of Act 1, and at the start of Act 2 is a very cool clip, which is called Bathroom Break, because you break out of a bathroom. I fell down here, that's not supposed to happen. Ooh. Let's get back up. There we go.
Wow. Well, that was the first time seeing that one.
It's a very good clip. It's very reliable too. You're making use of a couple of hammer jumps to skip some puzzles here. And now here's a pretty hard trick that I'm not very good at, but I'll attempt it anyways. Nope, I failed it. But that's fine. It barely saves any time. It mostly just looks cool. Would have loved to look cool on stream, but missed that chance.
I don't know what you're talking about. You were bouncing and flipping all over the place. This is fantastic.
Okay, I'm hitting this checkpoint. There's a relatively new skip here that was found very recently by Pastor Nova Delight. If you hit a very specific pixel here, you can... I got it first try, I can't believe it. You can skip that puzzle. Yeah, go around that. And then we use a hammer jump here, slope jump here, hit the spring, and use the momentum we get from the spring to jump up on here to get through this wall, and that skips the second puzzle, and we are at the end of the stage.
Well done.
Not bad. That was a pretty solid hot shelter. Alright, so we have one more complete stage for Amy coming up. Amy's story is unfortunately very short, only has 3 stages. But there is some cool hub world movement before and after that too, that I want to make sure to get right. That is pretty important if you're actually going for an optimized Amy time. Amy is to very big parts hub world, much more than most other characters. So it's very easy to like underestimate how much time you can save with good hub world on Amy. So yeah, we're making it back over here to the jungle, which is where our final level is gonna be. And to get there, I'm gonna hop over trees a little bit. So we've already done this with Knuckles earlier. I'm gonna do it again with Amy. Hammer and jump over here to not fall down, and then head over here. And now basically the level entrance is right ahead of us, but there's a wall in the way, so I'm gonna try to hammer jump over this. Excellent. This jump is a lot harder than it looks because the collision of the wall is very tricky. Can easily push you off. That's a small puzzle here. It's always the same. Always hit these 4 buttons in the middle once. And you're good. And this is Final Act, the final level of Amy's story, which we've also seen with Sonic earlier, but Amy's gonna take a bit of a different route here. So Final Act is by far the most straightforward stage in Amy's story. However, there's a very big however coming up. So at the end of the stage, there is a room with 5 doors. And you have to pick one of the 5 doors. And it's completely random which of the 5 doors is the correct one that the level continues through. So there's a 1 in 5 chance you get first try. And yeah, if you all want to put guesses in chat which ones of the door I'm getting, I'm counting left to right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. If you want to put a number in chat and make a guess.
Well, Moonblaze says 6.
Bit high.
Oh, I got some 4s. I got a lot of 4s, a few 3s, some 1s coming in there.
Yeah, I'm starting on the left side here. I'm always opening 2 at once. Because you have to wait a little bit for the door to open. Okay, it's not door number 1. It's door number 2. That's a very good RNG. So who won the guesses?
Oh, let's see. We have Maxini, we have Danny Music, and we have Fluffy Shenanigans.
Nice. Yeah, second try door is pretty good. It only loses like 2 or 3 seconds over first try, because you open these 2 doors together. It loses a lot more time when you get third door, because then you have to open a new set of doors. But yeah, now we have to head back through the jungle to meet the final boss of Amy, which is the robot Amy's been running away from the whole time. There's a tricky jump coming up here to get back on the trees. I missed it, so I'm taking the backup. Very nice. So yeah, you can jump on that sloped rock there, but I jumped way too late, so I overshot it. But that's fine. But yeah, basically the gimmick of Amy's story is she's running away from Zero, which is that weird green robot that looks like a tin can. And he's the final boss of Amy's story. So we're gonna get there very soon. We have to get to the egg carrier, which we accessed through a raft at the bottom of this building right here. You can also jump down here, but because it basically immediately warps you down, jumping down isn't really faster. But yeah, Zero is a pretty straightforward boss. It's pretty easy to mess up though. So you basically have to knock him into the electric fence, and then his hat opens and you can hit his weak spot. There is a strat here also that where you can basically insta-hit him more or less, but that's very tight timing and it's very risky to go for. Alright, that was Amy's story. And now, next up we have the story you've all probably been waiting for, everyone's been waiting for except for me, which is gonna be Big the Cat. So, Big the Cat is a very big cat, as his name suggests, and he fishes. and he has to find Froggy, who he happens to fish for instead of just picking him up for some reason. So that's Big's gameplay mechanic. It's fishing. So first of all, we have to go in the sewer because Big follows Froggy into here, and that eventually leads us to Twinkle Park. His tail gets squished there in the elevator, and Big actually says "ouch," which is a very nice touch. Moving through this tunnel is very difficult, and this is where we get into the first stage. So basically the way you approach these stages is you can always position yourself on the same spot and throw your lure. There are slight variations in how Froggy spawns. I believe the height he spawns at. But for the most part, he's always more or less spawning at the same spots. So you always want to basically make sure you hit the correct spots to fish him from, and you are confident in hitting these spots consistently. Something important to make it more consistent: if you have the lure going near Froggy, if you tap the X button, that actually attracts him more easily. So you want to lightly tap X to get his attention. Also, the fastest way of movement with Big is doing short jumps, not full jumps, just short jumps. But for some reason, if he goes up the stairs, he goes like a rocket, so only on flat surfaces. So we have the ice stones, so you already know what that means. We're going into Ice Cap. Drop the key here. That was a terrible key drop. The more centered you drop the key on the thing, the faster, obviously. It's not that big of a deal. So that's a fun visual glitch you can do here when you pick up the upgrade. Like that. You can just keep sliding like that. So that upgrade allows us to basically swim. The swim ring. So yeah. So we don't drown. So in this level, Froggy somehow managed to get trapped under ice. So we can fish for him here. I have to reposition myself because the game doesn't like my position for some reason. What are you doing? What is happening? Hello? Video game, what are you doing? Let me fish! Game's broken. Fishing got patched.
Uh-oh.
I'm just restarting the stage, I don't know what's happening.
Moonblaze says, gotta go big.
Absolutely. There we go, okay. I don't know why that only worked now, but whatever. We made it past that hurdle now.
You were doing too good. The game had to slow you down a bit.
Seems like it. Froggy, please. Okay. My position there was a bit off, so I didn't quite get his attention as quickly as I'd like to. Make sure you don't break the lure here. Like when Froggy bites, you have to hold or tap the A button to pull it in. And if you pull too hard, the lure breaks and then Big loses a life. So I want to be careful to not do that. Also worth noting, Big's mechanics are very poorly explained, and a lot of people didn't know how to beat this casually. So in order to get Froggy to bite the lure, you have to actually hold down the analog stick for some reason. Yeah, I don't know. I don't exactly recall how I did this casually, but I know I didn't do it very well. I probably had to look it up too or something. I think I just kind of lucked myself through those stages, more or less. I don't know. It's been a while, but it's not very well explained, and a lot of people been wondering how to beat Big. So that's how you have to hold down to get Froggy to bite. But yeah, next stage is Emerald Coast. Sonic's opening stage. Actually, we're revisiting that one. So Emerald Coast shows how you really wanna like position yourself close to Froggy if possible, because like the thing that takes the longest time in Big Story. Oh no, Froggy's drunk. He keeps he's gonna miss it again. Oh no, he got it. No, I please, Froggy. I'm redoing this.
How RNG heavy is Froggy?
Not too much. I believe it's mostly like a matter like if you're going for a really optimized time, then it's a little RNG dependent. But I'm not super optimized on Big Story, so it shouldn't really matter. I'm just doing really poorly here right now. Hold on. Come on, Froggy. Oh no. Sometimes he does this where he just keeps missing the thing, and I have no idea how to fix that, except for retrying. So that's a bit awkward, but he'll manage eventually. Come on, Froggy. Yes, you did it. But yeah, what I meant to say is, in order to optimize these stages, what you want to pay attention to is that you position yourself closer to Froggy, because the part of these stages that takes the longest time is pulling him in after he's bitten. So you obviously want to have your lure as short as possible, so that doesn't take so long. In this stage, this is Big's final stage, Hot Shelter. We actually have the only instance of platforming in Big Story, so I hope I can do that correctly. So I'm going to pick up these speed shoes here and hopefully make this jump. No! It was so close!
Aww.
You saw what it was supposed to look like. Yeah. So here in this stage, you have to press this button to release all the water, and then you can fish out Froggy here. There's actually a glitch you can do on these stages, but it's frame perfect, so I don't go for it. Basically, if you press both RT and LT at the same time, the frame that Froggy bites on the lure, you get an instant catch glitch. So you basically skip the whole pulling him in part, which saves a lot of time, but it's frame perfect, so you can't just like go for it very easily. The world record for Big Story only goes for it on the first stage, I believe. So yeah, it's really difficult to do. Okay, so we're coming up to the final boss on Big Story. Yes, Big has a final boss. And it's a boss we've actually seen before. It's Chaos 6. We've seen him in Sonic Story and the Knuckles Story. But with Big, all we're gonna have to do is fish Froggy out of Chaos. So it sounds silly, and you are correct, it is very silly. But that's the boss. So let's see how this goes. This boss can take either 5 seconds or can take me forever, depending on how it feels like. Ah, there we go, we got our first try, excellent.
Very nice.
Yeah, this boss can really screw you over, because sometimes it just like... suddenly doesn't attack, or you keep missing Froggy or something, he moves back and forth, it's terrible, but I'm happy I got a first try there. But yeah, that was Big Story. And we are off to Gamma Story. And Gamma Story is actually the most busted story in the whole game. It starts out pretty tame, but it gets pretty wild very, very quickly after like 2 minutes. So Gamma is basically like a third-person shooter, and final act for Gamma is basically like a tutorial stage. So you get explained like you can lock onto targets to get extra time to prevent the timer from running out. And you end the stage by shooting the Sonic doll here.
Mission complete.
And that was Final Act already, so very straightforward. You saw Streetlight Manifesto live, I'm so jealous. But yeah, first boss with Gamma. So Gamma is obviously one of Eggman's robots. And he basically tests his abilities here. So he has him go against the other robots. And basically the story is Gamma unexpectedly proves himself to be very capable of what Eggman wants him to do. And he is then set out to find Froggy. Yes, that same Froggy again. Because Froggy actually swallowed a Chaos Emerald, and Eggman wants the Chaos Emerald, so Gamma has to do that. And Froggy, during this part of the story, is in Emerald Coast, so that's where we're gonna get him. So there's some tricky jumps coming up here. So you see these poles with the springs on them? I'm gonna use them to platform over here to skip a bit of the loop in the stage, and I screwed it up, so I'm gonna try that again. Very easy to slip off these, especially if you're trying to do it fast. But it's not too bad if you pay attention to what you're doing. There we go. But once again, this is a very short stage. Gamma stages in general are pretty short. The only long one is Hot Shelter, which we're gonna see soon. But we skip a lot of that. Spoilers, but yeah. Okay, so here Gamma has the frog. So he goes back to Eggman to bring the frog. Well, first he has a bit of a past sequence where he gets his part of the backstory. And then we go through some more cutscenes here. Gamma's story is very lore heavy with a lot of cutscenes. There's a lot of cutscene skipping at the beginning here. So we first have to meet Amy in the prison area. This is where she gets released, has to do Hedgehog Hammer, and then does Hot Shelter. And now we are supposed to pick up an upgrade, which allows us to hover. Which we do over here in this room. And pretty much as soon as we pick up this hover upgrade, Gamma's story starts becoming completely busted. So we see we can hover now. So instead of continuing the story as intended, what I'm going to do is jump on this thing and get on this wall, and then hover around here out of bounds to get into this loading zone, which gets us into Hot Shelter, which is the final level of Gamma Story that we're not supposed to be playing yet. We're playing it anyways. So Hot Shelter has a lot of skips, like this clip right here. And this clip right here, where you just fly past some stuff. These are pretty small skips. But the real big skip is coming up here, so I hope I get this. This is the hardest skip of Gamma Story. Yes, first try, let's go. So we basically wall ran out of bounds there, and now we have to move around the level here for a bit. And get over here. And from here on we can just fly straight to the end of the level. And that basically skips a very long section of the level, where you platform over a moving train, which is a very cool section, but unfortunately wastes a lot of time. And we are now immediately at the final boss of this level. We have to shoot each of these cannons. And I need to take a sip of water because I've been talking so much. Alright. So, I'm gonna do something kinda unexpected. Once we're back on the hub world, I'm going to soft reset the game. And I'm now going to the trial mode, which is basically like you can just select the stage instead of being in the story mode. And in the in the trial mode, I'm going to select Red Mountain, which is the stage before Hot Shelter, which the game just unlocked for me in trial mode, because the game was like, okay, you've just beaten Hot Shelter, so you probably should also have Red Mountain, right? So you can just do Red Mountain in trial mode. So we're gonna do that. But we're not actually gonna play the stage, we're just gonna clip out of bounds and fly straight to the end, to the final boss of the stage. Once again, just a simple point and shoot boss. So now that we've beaten Red Mountain, pretty much the same thing happened again that happened previously. So the game's like, oh, you've beaten Red Mountain, so you also must have access to Windy Valley, the stage before that, right? So it also unlocks Windy Valley in trial mode. So we're staying in trial mode and just selecting Windy Valley now.
That's absolutely wild that you can complete story games outside of the main game.
Yeah, right. So Windy Valley has the spring that sends you very far high up, and you can basically just fly to the end from here. And after we've beaten Windy Valley, we've actually completed every stage in Gamma Story. The thing is, though, there are two separate kind of like progressions you can have in this game. There's one's like having every stage beaten, and there's the story progression. So what I have right now is having every stage beaten, so that's one thing, but the story isn't progressed yet. So in order to get to the end of the story, I have to re-enter story mode and move around a bit on the hub world to hit a couple of final story flags to make sure the game actually progresses to the final boss. So the game story mode is still pretty much stuck. I don't know, where is it stuck after Emerald Coast. But we now gonna do a couple things to trigger the game checking for progression. So first of all, back into the story mode, we're gonna have to shoot Sonic 3 times. But after that we can continue as planned.
Oh no! Oh no!
Can just smash a button here. It's very straightforward. So now I'm in this part of the story, and if I jump down here and die, the game now progresses the story past Windy Valley, because now it notices I've beaten Windy Valley, and it opens this cave here, which gives me access to Red Mountain, which I've already beaten. So all I have to do now is go to Red Mountain, enter the stage, and then I can exit it again immediately, and the game's like, oh right, you've beat Red Mountain. So it also progresses past Red Mountain. So you might be wondering why I even do all this this sequence breaking jank here, if I have to do all the subworld stuff and go to Red Mountain anyways. The reason is if you don't do it, there's actually a lot more hub world stuff you have to do, more running back and forth. So even though you still have to do this stuff right here, this is a death abuse, by the way, to just get back to where you want to go. Even though you still have to trigger all these story progression flags, this is still faster than doing everything in the intended order. Actually, every story has, or I'm not sure if every, but other stories also have glitched routes like this, but Gamma is the only one where it's actually faster. So now we're going to the final boss of Gamma Story, and there's a frame-perfect trick that I can get here. Okay, I'll try one more time, because it still saves time if I get it second try. No, unfortunately not. So during the intro cutscene of this boss, there is a one-frame window where you can get an early hit onto Gamma. Not Gamma, E101 MK2 is his name. And if you mash the button for that frame, you can get an early hit, which basically turns the fight from a 4-hit fight to a 3-hit fight, which saves like 10 seconds. It's not that big of a deal in all stories, but if you just play Gamma Story individually, this is quite annoying because you kind of need to grind for a run that gets that early shot. So yeah. This is fine. So we are on the last attack phase here. Just waiting for those explosions and then we can kill him. There we go. And that's Gamma Story done. So this is all main stories now. So now we only have the finale left. Now that we've beaten all 6 main characters, we unlock Supersonic Story. So basically all the characters get together, Sonic transforms to Supersonic with the power of the Chaos Emeralds and defeats the final boss, Perfect Chaos. Supersonic Story is very short. It is basically just a little bit of Hard World and then the final boss time. So yeah, this is gonna be over very soon here.
Yeah, this was like the ultimate climax of like every Sonic fan's video game adventure. Just a really fantastic end to this amazing game.
Yeah. Okay, so here Sonic has a final pass sequence. There is actually an inconsistent cutscene skip here, which I'm gonna see if I can get.
Hey, are you all...
I didn't get it. So obviously you can always skip the cutscenes anyways, but if you get that cutscene skip, you also prevent the cutscene from loading, so it saves like 2 seconds. But it's inconsistent, unfortunately. I didn't get it there, but that's fine. So now I'm doing another Desabuse to get back to the start of the section. And now I'm going into the jungle, which is where the game is going to progress to the final boss, which is Perfect Chaos. So this is where we're going to see Supersonic. And basically the idea of this boss is you progress over the water here, the flooded city. And you want to keep up as much movement as you can, so the fastest way to move with Supersonic is to just repeatedly jump. And you want to basically dodge his attacks and then carry enough momentum to him to hit him in the head. You also have to be careful. Ideally, it shouldn't be an issue, but if you screw up, it can become a problem. Your ring count, Supersonic loses 1 ring every second, and if you run out of rings, you transform back to normal Sonic, which in this boss fight means you die. So if I get everything right, this is not a problem, but if I miss one of the hits, for example, and have to redo a section, you can very easily run out of rings. So that was the first phase of Perfect Chaos. There's actually 2 phases. They're more or less the same. The second phase has a couple more difficult attacks to dodge. But it's basically the same thing, just with less hype music now. Yeah, they only have the Crush 40 title song on the first part of the boss fight, and the second one has an orchestral theme. But yeah, there's a lot more stuff to dodge now. So I have to be a bit careful here, but this should not be an issue if I do everything correctly.
I like that you're going so fast that he doesn't even have the time to get some of those attacks out.
Ooh, yeah. See, this is where it's getting a bit risky. So as soon as you get hit, you obviously lose all your momentum. So you have to hope you have enough distance between you and him to build up some momentum again. Because if you don't have momentum, the hit doesn't count. So that can very easily backfire. But we are good, and this is time. Sorry, I should have given an earlier warning, but we are done here. That's Sonic Adventure DX. I hope you enjoyed that. It's all stories.
Fantastic. Congratulations. What a run.
Yeah, I had a couple of bigger time losses throughout, but this is a long run with so much different stuff to go through. So I'm happy I made it to the end. I hope, as I said, I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you so much for having me with this run, and I believe I got another one coming up after this now.
I believe that's correct. Also, let's have a round of applause for Nimputs. What an awesome run. Let's hear some cheers and some hype. Get some emeralds in the chat.
Thank you so much. Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed the run. I've been looking forward to this one. I haven't done all stories a lot for a long time in a marathon, and it's always fun to show off, even though it is quite long for my standards. But it's always fun to show off because like Sonic Story is obviously like the big eye catcher that most people know and want to see, but there's so much cool stuff in the other characters too, so I'm always happy to show it off. But yeah, this is I believe I'm done here.
Yeah, so I think we're going to have a quick intermission while we set up, I believe, Sonic R. Is that right?
Yes, that is right.
All right, well, hang tight, everyone. We'll be back shortly with the next game in this Sonic.